world. My name is Marcella Gay, and I have just started a new company called MGP4Peace. And today I'm so excited to announce that I have my very first interview, my very first guest, a very new and dear friend that it's turning out to be, Miss Colleen Lemma, Reverend Colleen Lemma. She has been an active member in the spiritual and medical field of studies since 1995. She took her first astrology class in 1996 and was soon teaching for Astrological Learning Center and doing professional consulting. She became a non-denominational ordained minister in the Order of Melchizedek in 1996 and began her spiritual journey as a healing consultant. She is a professional astrologer, a numerologist, Reiki master, practitioner and teacher, a certified hypnotherapist, and a certified Christologist in the Melody teachings. Colleen lectures and does classes and workshops on a variety of topics including astrology, numerology, Reiki, crystals, soulmates, past lives, karma, children of the new paradigm, which is really a cool field, and soul empowerment. She's also available for teaching and speaking engagements worldwide. So without further ado, I would just like to say, hi, Miss Colleen. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for being my first guest, and I look so forward to this.
Thank you so much, Marcella. It's such a pleasure to be here and such an honor to be your very first guest for this wonderful new show that you're having. I am just pleased beyond anything you can even imagine. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. So let me just start right off. Let's get a little bit of a background of maybe about how did you get into what you're doing now? What did you do before? And, kind of give us that little story.
Well, that story starts way back in, I'd say, the 1980s, 1990s. I was actually born and raised in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So that was not in the 80s and 90s. By the way, that was further back. But in the past, when I was up there in the UP of Michigan, I actually studied psychology and social work at the university up there and got my degree with that, also with substance abuse and counseling. So my first job was actually at a domestic violence shelter in the UP. And I worked with the women and children of domestic violence. I worked with rape survivors and incest survivors, trauma victims, and did all of that. And what happened was there was a huge spiritual turning point in my life in around 1994. After I had worked at that shelter for about 6 or 7 years, I'd say. And long story short, this was a huge what do I want to say, a redirection on my path. Because in a very short amount of time, without going into huge details, but in a short amount of time, I lost the job that I was working at. I, because of that, lost my home that I was living in. And also at the same time, within a 2-month period of time, also lost my fiance, not because he died and passed on, but because he decided he was going to marry someone else. So there was 3 huge major events there that happened in my life that really started me in questioning a lot of things about who I was, why I was here, what my path was all about, my spiritual perceptions of things. I was born and raised Catholic. And at that point, though, I went through kind of a spiritual journey, searching for something that fit me more. Not that Catholicism for other people isn't a fine path, but it just wasn't resonating for me at that point in my life. So I was doing a lot of soul searching, and again, in the midst of that, that's when I lost the job, lost the home, lost the fiance, and decided to move. I had a friend actually who lived in the Lower Peninsula of Michigan, and when I moved down there and we lived together for a short time until I got my own place, but I ended up finding a group of people that were on a different spiritual path, I guess you could say. This would be called the metaphysical community, and some groups out there. And when I met these people, when I started attending some of the classes or the group meetings that they had, it just felt like home to me. And these people were very unconditionally loving, very accepting, very non-judgmental. And again, it was unlike what I had experienced before, being again in a certain kind of traditional sort of religious setting,
Right.
in the area that I was in. So again, this felt very comforting to me. And I started taking classes, the various types of spiritual or metaphysical classes that they had to offer in some different locations down in the Lower Peninsula of Michigan. And especially with astrology, it just started to click. Everything started to click really quickly. And it was like I knew it before. I didn't struggle with learning it. I think probably all of us can relate in some way, shape, or form to certain things in our lives that we just pick up a lot more easily than others.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the astrology came very easily, and it was very, very quick as far as moving through the different levels of the courses, and then becoming a board member for the astrology group that was there, and then teaching also different classes through that astrology group. So that's kind of like my history as far as getting on my path. I guess I kind of skimmed over the part where I had to really work through the, losing of the fiance, losing the home and whatnot. And, it was kind of a struggle at that time. Of course, like I said, questioning things. And when I first moved and was redirected on my path, I was given a numerology book, actually, and not an astrology, but a numerology book. Was the very first metaphysical book I had. And that really taught me a lot about my soul's energy. That's what really helped me to get through that time, was understanding my soul's energy and my truth and what my gifts and talents were. And yes, it talked about my challenges and a little bit about my karma and where I had some difficulties that I had to work through. But for me, if I hadn't read that book and understood the soul energy that I came in with, what do I want to say? The potential. It really told me of my potential, of what I could actually do and what I was here for. That's what got me through the depressing, challenging time that I went through around that time.
Wow. It totally reminds me of the Tower card.
It really was the Tower card. It sure was. And actually, in retrospect, I can tell you too, it was right at the Saturn return time, which some of you out there that maybe dabble in astrology have heard astrologers talk about. Oh, you're going through your Saturn return. And everybody goes through their Saturn return somewhere between the age of 27 to 30 years old, depending on where Saturn was in your birth chart. When you're 27 to age 30, that means Saturn will travel around your chart and come back to the place that it was when you were born. And that's why they call it a return, because Saturn is returning to your natal birth spot. And during that Saturn return time, we often go through some challenges, some lessons, sometimes some hardships. Now, it doesn't always have to be like that. So I do want to tell your viewers and listeners that it's not always a difficult, challenging thing. A lot of it depends on how your Saturn in your chart is aspected. And it just so happens mine was not that positively aspected. So mine was very difficult and very challenging. But for others, it can be just a time where there's greater responsibility in your life. It's a time to where there's a turning point in your life. You might get a new job or change careers or have the birth of a new child, or maybe it's when you're getting married, or it could be any of those things as well, to where it's a happy time, but a time again of lessons and responsibilities that come into your life. And again, for others, it's more of that karmic, challenging redirection point in life, to where you can decide, okay, well, I'm at a crossroads here, which, I was kind of at a crossroads within myself as far as what I wanted to do next with my life. And I could have chosen, if you want to call the low road and the high road, those were my two paths. And that numerology book came to me at just the right time, so that I could feel a little bit more spiritually uplifted about moving forward on a higher path of spiritual learning and understanding.
Isn't that the craziest thing about coincidence and how I used to believe in it and now I don't. And the more I learn about quantum physics, the more I learn about the mind, the brain, the more I learn about our energies, how they interact within our own experience, our own body, our own self, but also mixing with the outer world. Oh my goodness. We really should be taught this at a younger age. We really should. It's so helpful. Which goes right into my next question, which is why and how can astrology help us? I mean, what's the big deal? There's people.
Well, let me talk a little bit before we say why and how can astrology help us. Let's just again reiterate what astrology really is,
Okay.
because it's not a religion. Some people really have a negative concept, especially if you're a Christian or a Catholic or a Baptist or whatever religious belief systems you happen to follow. A lot of them don't believe in astrology or think that it's bad or think that it's evil. So first of all, astrology is not a religion. It's not something that's there to tell you what to do or how to do it. It's a tool to help guide us. That's what it is. It's a study, and you can call it a scientific study if you want, because the planets are real bodies out there in space, or you can call it an art, a creative art, because there is an element of intuition that's used in astrology, and I call it both. I call it a science and an art.
That's how I feel.
Okay.
That's how I feel.
And it's the study of the conscious expression or the conscious energies of the planet, or of the planets, I should say. And I said planet as a faux pas because I think of the Earth. I was thinking of the Earth. When you think of Mother Earth, it's a conscious living organism.
Yes.
Okay. It
Right.
has a consciousness. It's not just human beings that have a consciousness. Animals have a consciousness. Trees, flowers, mountains, water. There's consciousness there.
And
so there's consciousness in the Earth.
It's been measured.
And it's been measured.
Yes.
Scientifically.
Yes,
there.
it has.
So
that helps me. That really helps me. It really does. Keep going.
No, thank you for saying that, because again, so many people, they want that proof. And so there's that scientific proof.
Yeah.
If you need it, go out and research it.
Yeah.
So, astrology being the study, the scientific and creative study of the conscious energy of the planets, where they are out there in the universe and how they affect us as individuals, as spiritual beings here in the universe. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what astrology is. And at the time of birth, those planets are in a particular position, and that creates your astrological blueprint. That is your guiding blueprint, you could say. One thing that's important to understand also, again, and I already mentioned this, is that astrology doesn't tell you, well, this is it. This is who you are. You can't change it. Everything's set in stone. The planets are doing this, so, oh, God forbid, run under and hide under the covers for the day. That's not what it's about. Okay, astrology as a guiding tool is here to give us what are the energies of the planets and how they're aligned today. How does that affect us on an individual basis as far as our astrological blueprint? Now we can make the best choices for ourselves to A, B, C, or D. Maybe we can move forward on our path. Maybe it's time to lie low. Maybe it's time to meditate. It's time to maybe start a new project or finish a project. And that's what we're using that for. We're using that for a tool for self-discovery. So self-discovery, self-empowerment are what these tools, astrology being one of them, numerology, tarot, the I Ching, and so forth, they're here as tools to help guide us and help us in our evolutionary journey and our growth on this planet and moving through certain lessons or challenges that we may have and coming into, again, and owning our gifts and our power to move forward and be the best that we possibly can.
It's so true. And thank you. That was awesome. Definition and explanation of astrology and how it can help us and why we might want to use it as a tool. And it has helped me so much. That's why I'm doing this show today, because I want to share this knowledge with others, as it's been so helpful for me to navigate who I am. It's not so much about out there. It's about me, like how I am, how I feel about myself, and going through all of these things. All it is just unpeeling layers of your own self, and you're getting a deeper look. If you can embrace this and just use some of these tools, oh my gosh.
Well, let me also say too, Marcella, if I can, that, again, astrology is a self-help tool. I mean, I could say it literally saved me, right? Okay,
Right.
from that time period I was in. But I also want to say that along with self-discovery and self-empowerment, then you can expand it out to help you with your other relationships, okay? Your significant others, your children, your coworkers, your friends. Relationships are important on this planet. They're the teachers and the mirrors to our soul.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when we're having difficulties, say with a family member or a significant other, we can actually, again, utilize the astrology and say, oh, well, what's going on with them? Oh, I see that they're going through this huge transformation time period in their lives, and oh, it's going to last about a month or so. So, it kind of helps you to have a little bit more compassion, or to have better communication with your loved ones. It's also good for timing. A lot of people sign up for readings with me, and they're asking about money or finances, or they're asking about career, life path. What should I do? When should I go for this? Or what would be the best time to get married, or whatever it might be. So it's a great timing tool too, because there's ebbs and flows. There's ebbs and flows, cycles of the universe all over the place. And this is one of the ebbs and flows of the universal life force energy, is our own astrological blueprint, our own cycles and rhythms. And sometimes it's a more action-oriented time period, and sometimes it's a more going with the flow and allowing and being receptive time period. So that's another aspect of utilizing that spiritual tool of astrology in our lives.
Yeah. Oh man, thank you so much. So this is perfect little segue too for I'd like to talk a little bit about the age we're in. We just came out of Pisces. Let's first talk about an age. What's an age?
Well, that's a pretty, when you're talking about what is an age and how long is an age, and are we in the new age, those are questions to where there's a lot of different opinions out there and a lot of different answers. First, let me say how long an age is. Okay, each age, we were in the age of Pisces, or maybe we still are. We're now in the age of Aquarius, or maybe not yet. And, each age is about 2,160 years. So it's a really, really long time.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have 12 signs of the zodiac. Right. So by the time we go through every sign or every age, every sign of the zodiac, we're talking about 26,000 years to go through all of those signs.
For that one cycle, right?
Right, exactly.
That's a long cycle.
That's a really long cycle. I mean, even one age is a really long cycle. 2,160 years, right? I mean, nobody lives that long. And so, there's no definitive answer on, are we still in Pisces, or are we in Aquarius, or when did we, or when are we going into Aquarius? But an age is about kind of the flavor of the energy. If we talk about, let's go back to the age of Pisces for a minute. It's the flavor of the spiritual energy and the evolution of humanity and the planet during that 2,160 or so years.
Right.
And so in the age of Pisces, we can break it down to positive and not so positive qualities of each of the signs. Okay. Age of Pisces, the positive was compassion, unconditional love, about spiritual energy, healing, faith, trust. And if we look at maybe the not so positive qualities of Pisces, we can get into deception or illusion or addiction or escapism, things just being confusing and unclear. And there's also an element of sacrifice and servitude, which by itself, being of service to others, there's nothing wrong with that. Right. But, to be completely in a servitude mode and feeling like you're being acted upon or the victim of, and have no autonomy to kind of, do your own thing or make your own decisions or create your life the way you want. I think that maybe is a little bit not so positive about that servitude kind of energy. So there we were in the age of Pisces, kind of going through a myriad of all of these qualities altogether. And I feel that in any age we're in, we're going to experience the positive and not so positive. It's going to be our free will choice as an individual, as a collective, and as a humanity, is if we can push it to the more positive end of any particular age. Okay. So now that we're in or moving into the age of Aquarius, let's look at the positive and not so positive of the age of Aquarius. Aquarius, on the positive side, is very freedom oriented. It is very unique. It's very individualistic. It's very autonomous. It is about enlightenment. It is about quick and sudden shifts on your path. It is about being connected to God's source energies. When I think of Aquarius, and we think of the ruling planet of Aquarius, which is Uranus, I think of having a clear, direct connection to universe or God's source energies. I think of claircognizance, which is that ability to just know things and channel forth this knowingness of things. So those are all positive. If we look at some of the negative aspects of the age of Aquarius or the Aquarian energy, again, ruled by Uranus, we can look at Uranus as being a planet about erratic behavior, unpredictable behavior, the rebel, revolution. It also, Uranus in general, rules earth changes. Now, we can say this is positive. I think anything is our perspective anyway. Whenever we say, oh, that's negative or that's challenging, really, if we change our perspective of it, or after time passes, we look back and we can say, oh, well, that really was a good thing that happened, even though it was challenging. But, with these earth changes, I mean, Uranus rules things like earthquakes or tornadoes or, storms. It's a very stormy kind of energy. So those maybe are some of the not so positive aspects of the Aquarian age. Now, to talk about when did it start or when does it start, again, this is where you're going to get all these mixed kind of opinions about that. Some people have suggested that it started around 1908. Some people said it started in the 1960s or 1970s when we had, the freedom and the hippies, if you will, and free love and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Other people suggested that it started in 2012 with the end of the Mayan calendar. Now, some people say it doesn't start till 2601, and other people still 3574, the year 3574, okay?
Whoa.
So what is my opinion? My opinion is that we're already moving into it, and I'll tell you why. Because, again, the sign of Aquarius, the planet Uranus, rules technology. It rules forward thinking, forward movement, and technology and science. And look at how much technology we've been having over these last few years.
Right.
We've had the internet. Some of your listeners may be young enough to where they're like, what are you talking about? We've always had the internet. But, when I was growing up, we didn't. When I went to school, we didn't have the internet. Okay. Right. We had typewriters. So we didn't have computers. Okay.
We had an encyclopedia.
And had encyclopeedias. We had to read books.
Yes.
Check books out of the library.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, look at the technology that we've had. We've went from VHF tapes or whatever they were called, beta and whatever tapes, and then we had cassette tapes, and then we had now CDs. And I mean, I still have a stack of CDs, and most of the younger generation, of course, that would be absurd. So we've had a lot of fast-moving technological advances, which is why I believe that we're definitely, I don't know if we're fully immersed into it, but we're definitely in it. And I feel like we're still there with remnants of the Pisces age.
I feel the same way. Yeah.
Are still. Yeah. I don't know if I want to say trying to hang on. I don't know if that's a very good way to express it, because again, the ages are going to merge. It's not going to be like, oh, it's a cutoff point, and now we're into the new age. We're at a cutoff point, and now we're into the new age. There's always a time period to where there's a balance of the two intermingling, and the old's just kind of fading away and the new one's kind of coming in. And some of the souls, if you want to call them light workers, over the last few decades have been coming in as the way showers, to help move us or help people move a little bit more easily into that new age, into the age of Aquarius, if you will.
Change is everywhere. That's just what I'm noticing, whether it is in politics or, France. Is it France? I think France is protesting right now against their leader, their president wants to do something against labor. They have a 35-hour work week that they covet. They love that, and they're trying to take that away and make it go to 40 or something. And they're out in the streets. And Occupy Wall Street was that way. I mean, you know what I mean? So it's like, and even with this election cycle, that we're going against the status quo is what's happening, was what I see. And that's refreshing, and it's I'm like, oh, thank you. Because you're right. It completely needs to change. It doesn't work anymore. We're realizing that a lot of things that we were taught growing up and told were lies, deceptions, illusions.
And one thing that's happening with this Aquarius energy, the age of Aquarius coming in, again, Aquarius is more individualistic and autonomous. And that's why people are waking up to take their freedom back, or waking up to take their power back and make their own decisions and starting to question things, because that Pisces energy, and I love Pisces energy, but Pisces energy is kind of like a chameleon. It sort of is easily chameleoned,
swayed,
or swayed,
yeah,
if you will,
right,
to become whatever it needs to become, or become perhaps what it's told to become. And in that moment, they think that that's in their highest and best interest, and so they become that. Again, very loving, compassionate energy, but very easily, because it's water, it's a water sign, right? So, if you tried to hold on to water, it kind of falls through your fingers. It's not easily grasped, so to speak.
Right.
That's why they can chameleon themselves so well. Now, as we're moving into that Aquarius energy, which is more of the mind, Uranus, the ruling planet of Aquarius, is the ruler of the higher mind. And people are awakening to their higher mind, which is their higher self. And their higher self, or that higher mind, is saying, wait a minute, why are you doing that? Just because somebody told you to jump off a cliff, you're going to go ahead and jump off that cliff?
That's it. That's it.
So now people are awakening to this, to these, what do I want to say, restrictions or limitations to our freedom in different ways, or our sense of individuality or autonomy. And so, which is a good thing, right? This is one of the positive things of this age. And we're kind of awakening and evolving into this knowingness of our true selves and our truth.
Yeah.
And taking our power back, which is what needs to happen.
Yeah, the empowerment thing. The empowerment is happening for me big time. And the more that, I work with my own thoughts and beliefs, the freer I become, because that's where it is. It's in the mind. It's, for me, it's all about my thoughts and about how I feel about things, how I feel about myself. How do I feel about me in the world? How do I express my truth, the true me? But that's all what's going on right now. And we're just seeing it everywhere. We're seeing it individually, and we're seeing it everywhere. Everything is kind of being all just jumbled up. And, it's quite exciting. It's a little scary, but it's quite exciting. And it's really fun to talk about.
It is fun, isn't it?
And that's why we're doing this. So, okay, well, guess what? I think our time is up for this segment. So, we're going to take a break right now, everybody. And I'm going to bring my sister on. And we're going to do some spitballing with Miss Colleen in our second half. Okay, so stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. Thanks. Welcome back, everybody, to Seeking Truth. I'm your host, Marcella Gay, and now I've brought in my sister, Melissa Guccione. And we're still here with Miss Reverend Colleen Lemma, Starseed Astrologer and Spiritual Messenger. And I'd like to, let my sister sort of start this segment off. So there you go, girl.
Okay, thanks. I love being here. How you doing today, Colleen?
I'm very well. It's nice to see you again, Melissa.
You too. Beautiful as always. So I'm going to jump in and go ahead and ask a question. You and Marcella finished the first segment about, what might be happening in the next few years. Everybody loves to hear about that. What can we expect to see? What can we expect to be feeling maybe over the next few years?
Well, if we continue with that thought of talking about Aquarian energy and the fact that it's ruled by the planet Uranus, I want to say that we're probably going to see a lot more scientific advancements than we already have. Okay, so I mean, we've gone through cell phones and internet, and I think we're going to get to a place to maybe we can expect to see some new inventions with maybe transportation. Okay, maybe we're not going to have this old transportation method of cars and gasoline, or maybe that's going to transform somehow. Maybe we're going to be able to use that technology where automobiles or scooters or whatnot kind of hover, called hoverboards, right?
Yes.
So I think we already have that technology, but it's just not mainstream. We haven't gotten it out to the mainstream public. So I think we'll see a little bit more of that. We'll probably see some changes in regards to the financial systems on the planet, perhaps. I think those are already undergoing some changes.
Absolutely. That's a big one,
see a little
isn't
bit
it?
of, I might see some challenges, to start off with that as things are getting changed or regulated to a different system. I don't know if it's going to continue with the monetary system or if there's going to be more of a bartering thing that kind of comes in. That might be a few years down the road. But again, we're looking for energies that bring us more freedom, right? So free energy, that's going to be something that comes in.
Yes.
Free energy.
Yeah, we should have had that a while ago, shouldn't we have? But I guess there's no shouldn'ts here. I'm sorry, but that word pops in there.
We've had so much technology already available to us that just have been kept from us.
Absolutely.
And so it's just removing those restrictions or who's restricting it, to be able to unleash that to the public. So all that free energy, we're going to see more consciousness expanding. I think we're seeing that all over the planet. Some people are more aware of their intuitions fine-tuning or their physical bodies kind of changing. The cellular structure of the physical body is going to go through changes as our consciousness is expanding. Those people that are aware are, more prepared with some of the ups and downs and fluctuations of all that. And other people, which is why we're all here,
yes,
right?
Yes.
We're giving out this information on this wonderful, wonderful show called Seeking Truth so that those people can understand what's going on physically and emotionally and mentally and energetically with this consciousness expanding energy. And so that they don't feel so confused or scared or anxious about some of the changes that are happening.
When we have knowledge about what is happening to us and within us, it does bring that peace. At least it brings that deep breath that says, oh, okay, now I can work with this. And, it kind of centers us into actually, understanding. I think that's extraordinarily valuable. Again, getting these things out to people so they can start to understand what's happening to them, both physically and as well as in the world.
Absolutely. We as teachers and light workers and guides and counselors, we're going to be looked for or looked upon more and more to kind of give out that information that so many people are needing as they're maneuvering through these energies.
Perfect segue. I have a question. So the question I was just thinking about was, what can somebody do if they're feeling sort of lost and they're struggling? Maybe they don't know who they are. What is life all about? That's what happened to me. I just started to go, is this all there is? You born and you go to school and you get taught things and you get a job and you retire for 2 days and die? what? So if someone's in that kind of a place of searching, what advice would you give them to just start and to reach out in some way?
Well, there's a lot of things I would suggest. One of the most important things, and a lot of people don't do this, or they kind of, I don't know if they don't realize the importance of it, but I really think finding your own sense of inner peace is very important. And what's the best way to do that is meditation.
Absolutely.
Okay. Some people call it prayer, which is fine.
Right.
Prayer or meditation is going to help to quiet your mind, quiet the confusion, the anxiousness, the chaos that's going on up here in the ego mind. It's going to help you to connect to your sacred self, your higher self, which is your God self, so that you feel a little bit more secure and in a place of balance and peace. And not only is it helping you to be balanced and in a place of peace, but meditation is also helping to change the composition or chemistry, if you will, of your body and the cells in your body. It's giving your physical self an opportunity to heal certain imbalances that might be going on there. It is helping you to connect in a better, stronger way with your guides or your angels or God, universe, as far as messages and information coming in, so that you can, take the best next step on your path, or make the next best decision for yourself in regards to what you need to do. So meditation, very important. Seeking out people of like mind, I guess, is a good way to say it. Seeking out groups of other people that may be going through the same thing. Right. Seeking out spiritual community. Those that you feel comfortable with, that you resonate with, looking for whether it be in person or online types of information or classes or workshops according to what it is that you have questions about. There's a lot of times people will do free lectures or free call and answer, talk. Well, you know what I mean, conference calls, things like that. So there's always things to tap into to be able to allow yourself to feel a little bit more at ease and in a space of being balanced and peaceful. I want to say too is they're talking about, as I'm talking to you, they're saying don't forget to mention the support of the physical body, which is going to be about diet, healing, your diet. Water, fresh water. You want to make sure that the water you're drinking is purified, because so much of the tap water now on the planet is not good water to be drinking. So getting alkalized water or distilled water and putting minerals in it, eating organic as much as you can. And I know organic is more expensive, but even if you just eat some organic, it's going to be better than no organic. You want to stay away from GMO foods. You want to stay away from foods with chemicals. You want to stay away from foods with colors and additives. So you want to eat as cleanly as you can, because those clean foods, those organic fruits and vegetables and the clean, pure water is of a higher vibration. And when you're putting in your body foods that are of a higher vibration, it's going to help to support your consciousness expanding. It's going to help to support the vibration of your physical body as it's trying to raise from a denser third dimensional level of existence into a higher fifth dimensional or beyond existence. Whereas you're eating those heavy foods or chemical foods or meat, and I'm not saying that it's bad to eat all meat all the time, but you might want to limit or maybe even cut out, especially the beef and the pork, and maybe just occasionally have some fresh fish if you can find that. But anything that's higher vibrational that's going to support your body. Exercise too. We can't forget that. Even if it's walking, walking, running, bicycling, hiking, or any kind of sports activity also is going to help the energy to flow more clearly through you.
Everything around, doesn't it? From
right,
the inside.
Absolutely. It's moving the chi. Even, yoga. It seems so simple, but yoga is so good. It actually strengthens your body so much, and it has that meditative quality to it as well. Exactly. And this is helping that chi to flow. And when I talk about moving the physical body, and people say, oh, exercise. Yeah, I'm right there too. Like exercise and me, we're not the best of friends, but I do like to walk. I do like to hike. I like to be out in nature. So when it's nice outside, I'll get out and move that way. But the reason for that is because our cellular memories in our body, our muscles and whatnot, are holding energies. There's like clogged or constricted energies that are, for lack of a better way to say it, solidified in the cellular memory, crystallized in the cellular memory. And by moving the body through yoga positions or through some sort of exercise, it's helping to unleash those energies that are congealed or blocked.
Sure, they might have been stuck there. And
so
I have
those
to
are
say,
some of the things.
On a personal level, Marcella's been doing yoga for a couple of years, and we got together on Tuesdays and Thursdays and started doing yoga together, just a half hour, very, very simple beginning, because I'm beginning. And within a few short weeks, just 2 days a week, 30 minutes, started to see improvement in my body in the way that I felt, and especially the way that I slept. And I'm kind of an insomniac right now. In the middle of the night, I'm always up at 3 o'clock. But so I just wanted to point that out, that you're right. It doesn't have to be much. It's not the, go to the gym and work out like the 80s and stuff. It's more about the grace of our movement and combining our spirituality, our breathing with the movement of our bodies. And
because it's all connected. It's like we, again, not taught these things as youth, as we were growing up, but it is all connected. And when you start to realize and start to connect all of your systems, if you will, your spiritual system, your physical system, your mind, your mental your brain, system, mind, body, spirit is the thing that yoga, and that's what I first started. I just went to yoga because I've got former athlete, I've got achy knees, and and I wanted to stretch and feel better. That's why and I wanted something gentle. I didn't want to do but oh boy, did some things happen. Because it starts to align everything, and the systems start to support each other. But you go through some things that you're like all of a sudden going, why am I having these feelings?
It releases trauma in the body. So this can be
talk about that.
This can be physical trauma, this can be mental or emotional trauma, and this can be from this life or previous lifetimes. And those yoga postures, and how long have they been doing yoga on the planet? This is an ancient system. This is helping to release some of those, again, those stuck energies, those trauma energies in the body, traumatic memories, and your body holds on to trauma. Even if your mind in the subconscious, you don't have a conscious memory of the trauma, and it could even be this life, not even just speaking of past lives, but your physical body remembers. Yeah. So the yoga is going to help to kind of release and let go and flush out those emotional, mental, physical toxins so that you are more balanced and healthy and whole. And
so as we go through these changes, doesn't it physically exhaust us? And should we be, can we be looking more at allowing ourselves to give ourselves, like the good water you said, and a lot more rest than we're typically used to? Could you speak to that just a little bit?
Yeah, please do give yourself more rest, because I have days, and my astrological blueprint, I know for myself as an astrologer, that one of the ways, probably the biggest way that I purge out some of these energies or transform or transmute these energies is through my physical body. Now, not everybody is like that. Some people can transmute it through their dreams or through just having a conversation with somebody or whatever. But for me, I experience a lot of physical stuff, weird symptoms coming and going a lot. And it does exhaust, so whether it's a physical release or purging or mental or emotional, I have days in a row that I'm feeling exhausted when I'm getting ample amounts of sleep, you
Okay.
know? So yes, honor that for sure. I mean, if you can, I mean, I know, we have jobs, we have careers, we have families, children, things we have to do. But if there's anything that you can do to nurture yourself and give yourself that self-care, and again, feed your body that higher vibrational food to support it, maybe take some supplements to support it, like multivitamin or vitamin B or C, whatever it might be. But get as much rest as you possibly can. If you have to go to bed at 6 o'clock at night because you're exhausted, then by goodness, do that.
then go.
There's been times that I've slept 10 and 12 hours just because my body is going through a purging, cleansing, revamping, or whatever. And you just, as much as you can do that, honor that for sure.
Beautiful. Yeah, because yes, I know most people probably feel a little stretched too thin, and our society has taught us to put so much of our energy into the outside world, into our jobs. First of all, almost everybody works, and we give anywhere from 30 to 50 to 70 hours a week to these outside, sources. So that's a big, chunk right off the top of our energy right there. So I know one thing that as I started to look, because as I started doing some shifting and I was exhausted quite a bit, and I used to have conversations with Marcella about, I don't seem to have any time. I don't know what it is. I'm only working 30 hours right now, but where's all my time? And I had to kind of go through a little checklist, as a matter of fact. I put a little circle on a piece of paper and I put the word me in the middle. And then I put lines out from that center, like spider legs, to all the different places that I was putting my energy, my children, my job, my boyfriend, my family, if I still want to learn, I want to do some things and learn some new skills, so I'm studying. So all these legs were going out, and it was a really great clarification for me how I can start to choose where I put my energy, to say no thank you or no to some of these, and go ahead and go to bed at 6 or 7 o'clock, So I just wanted to share that it does seem complicated at first. We do have a lot of demands on our time, but it's demands that we've chosen in one way or another, whether it be by default or by conscious choice. So I just want to encourage people, there is time in your day to do these things for yourself, and take that little checklist and take a look and see, maybe where you can shift some of those outside energies to inside.
Absolutely, or make a date with yourself. Most people have a calendar in their purse or on their desk or somewhere. Sure. And what do? If a family member says, we're having this event, or I need your help on this day, or our partner says, we're going to be going to dinner at so-and-so's house. I mean, you're writing in your date book, right. All these little appointments. Take at least once a month. I would say once a week. But take at least once a month where you're blocking out a day and you're putting date with myself. Okay? And it's nobody else. Nobody else can come in and say, okay, well, I need you to do this or I need you to do that. No, I have a date with myself. I'm sorry, I can't do that. And so keep those boundaries for yourself. Yeah.
Which is really cool. And it reminds me of self-love and self-respect. And the first time I started to ponder what that even meant. And it was asked to me, so what is self-love? And I'm like, oh yeah, I can define that, sure. Okay, self-love is, man. Well, I know you love yourself, man. That's what it means, right? No, I couldn't define it, is my whole point. I could not define. I can now, but I couldn't in the very beginning when I just stopped long enough to say, what is self-love, self-respect to me? And do I give that to myself? Mm-hmm. And I found out, no. In fact, what I did was give it to everybody else but me.
And that's what most people do. That's what most people do.
The human condition, huh?
And so when you recognize that, and that comes into your awareness, you're like, oh, what have I been? Oh, and I cried a lot about it. I felt so bad that I would treat myself like this, and I wouldn't treat another that way. And yet I'm willing to treat myself. And that goes to everything about how you think about yourself, the little crazy little thoughts that you have in your head that say, I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not straight because I'm gay. So it's like, I'm not straight. I'm not this. I'm not that. I can't, until you start, again, pick that head up out of that trough and scan your thoughts and your beliefs, you're going to find out a lot of things. Because of all of our distractions, we're taught not to look at that. You got too many other things on your mind to have to worry about all this self-love. I don't have time for that. What are you talking about?
And that's the one thing that we should make time for.
It will change your ever-loving life. It will change it, and it will make it better, and you will make more money.
And people
you're
might
worried about
say,
money.
people might be listening to this and saying, well, that's all good, that's nice, but, like, why? Like, what does it matter if we love ourselves as long as we're loving to everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
But you're kind of sending a message out to the universe, okay? Here you are, a spiritual being, a light, a part of God's source energies, and you're looking for the next step on your path, or you're looking for abundance and prosperity, or you're looking for unconditional love in a relationship, or whatever it might be. And if you're not loving yourself or respecting yourself, treating yourself as you would treat a small child with that nurturing and care, you're sending a message out to the universe that, she doesn't really care about herself. She doesn't love herself. So we're going to give her circumstances and situations that mirror that for her.
That's very true.
Okay.
It's
So if you
true.
love yourself and you respect yourself, you're sending that message out to the universe. I love myself unconditionally. I respect myself. I honor myself. I take time for myself for what I need. And that sends a message out to the universe then that says, wow, we're going to bring her that relationship that mirrors that quality and someone that will unconditionally love her as much as she loves herself, or a circumstance or situation in her job that brings her the abundance and prosperity and the blessings, as she's emanating to herself. That's the purpose. That's why.
And this is where science comes in, because this is law. This has nothing to do with opinions or like, oh, she's doing so well, let's give her that. No. What it is the vibrational, whatever you're doing matches up to what you will be, because scientifically speaking, with quantum physics, the human body is a projector and a receiver. Okay, we receive energies and we are projecting them constantly, and there's that figure 8 thing. Okay, it's constant flow. So it makes complete sense that if our thoughts and our energy that we are projecting out there and hooking up with God knows what, because it's so subtle and it's unseen, but anyway, but that's where you get the control. So, and you can control the experiences that you have in your life when you get this right, and you get the mind and the heart, tandem in line with one another and not fighting one another. And that comes through meditation. It comes through meditation.
Yeah. So we're talking about the law of cause and effect. We're talking about the spiritual law of cause and effect, and creating your own reality through your thoughts, your visualizations, your intentions. It's the law of manifestation. So it's how they say, what you put out, you get back.
That's it.
So
and it's
exactly.
True.
It's
and
exactly
it's scientifically
what it is.
proven, and they can show you how. I love quantum physics because it just shows you. I just like to have that. I can't, for whatever reason, I'm not the type of person who can just go, oh, okay, I believe that. Because I'd be going, but why? Why does it do that? Well, just show me. I just need that understanding. I need to have my brain wrapped around it. And then once I get that, I'm like, okay, there we go. I'm in. Right?
Thank goodness for the people out there that ask why. Yeah.
You should have seen a couple of Marcella's high school teachers, in their reports to mom and dad. Your child always asks why. Always. No, they didn't say that.
I was going to say, I don't remember that.
I'm just kidding. But I don't remember that. I was really kidding about that. But she has always been a very inquisitive woman.
And that's good. It's good to not just blindly accept.
Right. I know. And she talks about the trough, and we've all been there, and sometimes we still are.
Oh,
We're
I'm
definitely
still there too
we're working through all of this, but it's quicker and quicker now. You notice, when we get weighted down into the mire, as it were. Boy, those words did not come out. But
isn't it lovely?
Actually, I wanted to ask you a little bit about astrology. How is it that some people are familiar with it, but I believe that you had said in another talk that we had that there's a lot of misinformation about astrology. If people are interested in using that as a tool to help them learn about themselves, what's a good way for beginners to go about, getting into something like that? And then what could it do for them?
And how can they contact you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you. I think there's a lot of good beginning books out there, first of all. So, I mean, whether it's a hardcover copy or you look something up on the internet as we do now, look for that beginning astrology information. That's going to help to give you a good basis. And then you can always find a school potentially in your area or a teacher in your area. Maybe that teaches you a little bit more. I have done a lot of teaching with the school or learning center that I learned from myself and that I was a board member and an instructor of. And so I have taught many, many classes. Now I don't teach it in a group physical setting so much, just because I feel like our ways have changed a lot over the last few years. Back 15 or even just 10 years ago, it was more common, I think, for people to gather in groups physically and communicate or take a class or a workshop. Now I feel like that's being done a lot more online, which is fine too. So I've been doing a lot of teaching via Skype with people in different places of the world. So if that was something of interest to somebody, you could look for someone or myself to do that kind of teaching or information giving to you about astrology or numerology or, tarot or whatever it is that you're interested in, for sure. To get a hold of me, I have a website. It's sacredsoulempowerment.com. I have 2 Facebook pages where I do daily astrological posts or empowering posts to help to guide people on their journey and inform them of the energies of what's happening right now and how they can best maneuver that throughout their day. And those pages are under Colleen Lemma, and the other page is under Sacred Soul Empowerment. And then I have a YouTube channel where I do weekly and monthly and soul reflection videos where I'm giving out information as well. And that YouTube channel is under Colleen Lemma, so I would love for any of your viewers or listeners to subscribe to that channel if they find that of interest as well.
So we will have all that stuff in the description box below too for everybody, and links to all of Colleen's sites and social media.
Good job.
What do you think?
I was wondering if Colleen might pull a card for us today and see what's up with what does the universe want to talk to us about. And I get excited.
Okay,
and
so
then, Colleen, talk again. Tell the listeners, what happens regarding how you pull the card and why it works, and so they
So when I do a reading, my weekly and monthly videos especially, most of you that watch those videos know that I will choose different divination decks to use. And in this case, I feel guided to use the Syrian Starseed Tarot by Patricia Corey and Alyssa Bartha. And it's a huge deck, very huge, to try to maneuver. But what I do is before I connect with any client or when I'm doing the weekly readings, before I connect to give messages, I always meditate. I have to always center and ground and balance my own energies. And I did this before we did before we connected to do this interview and this show. So I'm pretty balanced and centered right now anyway. And once I balance and center, I just choose my deck or decks that I'm going to use, and I call in all of the angels and archangels and the ascended masters, and I ask that they show us whatever information or guidance is in that person or persons highest and best interest. In this case, we'll ask for whatever guidance is in everyone's best interest that will be watching this at some point in time, right? And according to what we've been talking about today. And what I do is I kind of just shuffle and I watch for a card for me that either jumps up out of the deck as I'm shuffling. Sometimes it falls out of the deck when I'm shuffling. Or sometimes it just kind of has a glowing kind of effect. Like I'll be shuffling and there'll be like a card my eyes will zoom in on and it'll kind of like highlight itself. So it could be any or all of those. And just kind of shuffling and looking. Oh, and I see one sticking out. So I'm going to pull that one. And then we're going to turn it over and show it to everybody.
There is no way that just happened.
This is Major Arcana number 21. This is the last of the Major Arcana. In a typical tarot deck, it's called the World card. In this deck, in the Syrian Starseed Tarot, it's called Ascension. So, here we are, we're talking about the new age, the age of Aquarius, Aquarian energies, raising our consciousness and vibration, expanding ourselves, ascending, in other words, is what we're doing. And this is the card that we get for a message for everyone. It's very interesting how that works. You always get the message that you're supposed to get. Sometimes I want to do a little reading for myself, and I'll pull a couple of cards and I'll be like, I don't want that card. I don't want that card.
I know, right?
I chose
but
wrong.
You know what?
I chose
But right,
wrong.
it's never wrong. It's always, spirit
it's true.
or your guides and angels are always on point.
Sometimes, we just don't want to look at everything, do we? But that's
right.
a very the visual of that. It's very empowering. The woman holding the globe or the world, and just the beauty of it.
And to me, look at the colors in that too. It's all the upper chakra colors. It's got green and blue and even a darker blue. So so we're talking about those upper chakras expanding and balancing, which to me, the heart chakra, the green color of the heart chakra, this is where we really open up to our sense of unconditional love for ourselves and for others. This is where healing comes in. The best healers are those that really have an open heart chakra because they're channeling the unconditional love of the universe.
Beautiful.
And then, of course, the throat chakra, the third eye chakra, it all involves messages and communication, and the crown chakra is going to be that ascension energy, pulling through that ascension energy, the higher guidance of universe.
Well, let's keep that energy moving then. That's
so
what I'm going to
Great
intend for myself.
Yes.
That's right. And how appropriate, right? That card. I mean, because for all of us and as a collective, we're just all going through, whether we realize it or not, we are all going through a very big time and a very transformative time. And it's quite exciting, I have to say. There's times when I did not want to actually live in my life, and I thought it was too hard and everything. And thank God I stuck around because I'm now starting to find the joy of it all and the peace. I've got peace and joy more than I've ever had, and I know I have more work to do, and I'll get even, deeper with this good feeling, this empowering stuff that. When you don't worry about what other people think about you anymore, talk about the most liberating. And being gay is hard. It's still kind of hard for me at times, but it's when you can let that truly go, and just know in your beingness that this is completely beautiful and it's supposed to be happening, and to embrace that it's happening. It changes everything. All the things fade away. All the horrors of that kind of lifestyle, especially in the Piscean age, they fade away. And all of a sudden, I find I'm attracting people or interacting with people that have no problem with homosexuality, that have no problem with, women's empowerment, that have no problem with diversity and embracing. All of a sudden, the other people that had problems with all that, they fade out of your life somehow.
Yeah.
And the other ones start to come in, and it's all because you feel better about who you are. That's that science thing. That's that photonic signature energetic. I don't know, but I know it works because I'm living proof. Right there.
We need every single person on the planet to find and discover that light that is within themselves. Because once you discover that glorious light that's within yourselves, then you're going to exude that light and exude that unconditional love, which is going to domino effect out and help other people around you and help humanity, help the collective, and help this planet. Because all of humanity and the planet is going through a huge awakening right now, and we need to be in support of one another so that we can help humanity and the planet get to where it needs to go. And if we're all separated and we're all like factioned out and we're all stressed out and confused and not connected to our true light, our true divinity, we're not going to get there as fast as we need to. We need to kind of band together and connect ourselves and connect with others to help to lift everyone basically and where we need to go.
Well, we always get things done more as a collective, as a group. I mean, you can build a house by yourself individually, and you can do it. It can get done. But it's going to, just like you just said, it's going to take
some time.
Yeah, however long that takes, right?
Like
but if you don't have that blockage, the pride thing, to where, I don't need any help, the ego, if you can open up to being you asking for help, there you go. And then the help that comes may have ideas that you never even thought of maybe even make the project better.
Good point.
To finish up with, it's just eye-opening and how we can work together and get things done, accomplished that we couldn't have done alone, or maybe with too much, like our government. Too much. It's so bogged down and whatever. Too much.
Simplify.
Yeah. So
I think if we maybe almost look at it like an experiment, and I'm just using that in quotes when I say that, but if you imagine that we're all a part of one God or one source, okay? No matter what religious belief system you might come from, it's all about coming from one God or one source, I believe, okay? And that one God and one source is the same no matter what your belief system is. So if we all come from one God or one source, that means we're all a part of that one God or one source, which means we're all a part of each other.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So we're all little sparks of light from the one. That means we're all interconnected and we're a part of each other. So if you look at it that perhaps we needed to go through this quote unquote experiment to find a sense of autonomy and individuality within ourselves in a way.
That's a good point.
To do it alone, go it alone, whatever. And now we're in the spiral back up to where we're needing to learn how to be a part of the group again.
Yeah.
We're to remember that we're a part of each other again, which is why labeling and judgments and, separating people by culture or status or color is just so not good, so very harmful. We have to remember that underneath all of this, which is an illusion, we're just a spark of light that are interconnected with all the other sparks of light on the planet that come from the one God and the one source. And so therefore, we're a group, we're a collective. We use that word collective all the time, but do we really know what it means? That we're part of the collective?
Yes. It took a while.
So
but it's a good question to ask yourself, though. Any person,
Right.
Again, understanding and what does that mean, and if there's no personal definition, then you can just dive right into it.
And we're still our individual selves, but we're also a part of the group.
It's like if you have a glass of water or bubble water, you see in there all those little individual bubbles, but they're all part of the water.
That's good.
That's how I kind of wrapped my head around it one time. I was just like, oh, that's what collective. Look at all the bubbles. They're individual, but they make up the whole glass of water. And, like sparkling water.
Sure.
So that's kind of how I kind of wrap my head
And what
around
happens? What would happen if you put a drop of green dye in that glass of water?
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing would turn green. Eventually, it would
Okay.
seep down. It comes down, down, down.
So then, what happens when there's an attack on a certain group of people,
Sure.
or when there's judgments against certain
Sure.
groups of people? Don't you think that colors
Absolutely, it waves.
all of us?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's that saying. I mean, let's just quote the Bible, because the Bible has some good stuff in it. And there, by the grace of God, go I. That's one of the things that I think Jesus said, or somebody said in the Bible, and or at least I was taught that growing up in Christianity. But it's true. That part, I have to say, is true, because everything we do affects each other, even our thoughts, because they have energy, and they are their own little bitty entities, of themselves. They're almost like people. I kind of think of. No wonder Sybil had 50 personalities. She was just naming all of her thoughts. But I'm just saying, But that's how I kind of see it.
It's fun, and it is fun to play games with all of this, and and lighten the load. This does not have to be a serious journey. Actually, I believe it's meant to be joyful and graceful, and that's what we're learning right now is to shift those either actions, thoughts, or whatever we do from the heaviness or the hard work or the pain, and even in those middle ground emotions and levels of vibration. Now what we're looking for is to do our work and to love our families and to do the best that we can with grace and with ease and with joy. I mean, let's laugh a little. In our town here in Ashland, Oregon, there's a lot of people that hug. People are very comfortable around here, and we know each other quite a bit, but they're very willing to show that human connectedness. I see a person in the grocery store. I mean, we can hug and say hi. It's a really nice feeling, one that in most cities or towns that I've ever lived in I did not get to experience that. So I sort of wandered off there, but basically I think I'm just trying to bring in again about our lives. If we feel like they're heavy or sad or painful, we can move into these graceful, joyful places, a little bit at a time. Let's have some fun. While you do it, laugh at yourself, laugh at myself a little bit, and just say, you know what? I'm just going to keep going. I love myself today, and I'm going to let something come to me that's beautiful today. And that's a nice place to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And my final thought is, because, sometimes we're like, what do we have to do? What do we have to do? You don't have to do anything. You just have to have the intention. I mean, you do have to do stuff, but you know what I mean? If anybody is thinking about this kind of thing or is happening to you out there, it might be overwhelming to hear all of us talk about this and that and the other thing, but really the first thing is to ask somebody for help. Ask somebody who you know, or go online or any of those things. Just ask and just start asking questions and meditate and go to yoga. Start there. And it will show itself to you after that. You don't need to have a plan. You don't need anything. But if you could just start there, I think.
That's good.
That's a good place to start if you're wanting to
make some changes,
love yourself and learn what that's all about.
Connecting with supportive people is very, very important.
Yeah,
good.
So that's my 2 cents. And do you have any final thoughts?
I guess not.
Okay, Miss Colleen, is there anything you'd like to add before we say goodbye?
I think we said a lot. I think we said it all.
Actually, you know what?
I'm kind of going over in my mind. Yeah.
Okay, one last thing I just remembered. We are working on an event with Miss Reverend Colleen Lemma here. We're working on the June solstice, and I'm trying to get her out here in Oregon, where we're based. And we're going to put on a 2-day event, and we'll be putting out some stuff. And I think I would like to talk with Colleen about how we might be able to do some things so that online people could even either join us we could do some live streaming, but we'll talk all about it. But anyway, look for an event with MG Productions for Peace, Seeking Truth, as with Colleen Lemma, come June 2016.
And
Yeah,
I
it's
am
gonna
really
be
excited
fun.
about that. Yes,
Yes,
it
I
is. It's
know.
gonna be a blast. I can't wait to come out there and meet all of you lovely people and experience the beauty that I know Oregon is. So I very much look forward to
That's
that,
exciting.
as well as any future, shows with you, if
Good.
that's, on the docket there. So
Absolutely. I would love to have you as a regular, no doubt. So
well, I would love that too. So thank you.
yes, that's great. Okay, well, on behalf of myself, Marcella Gay, and my sister,
Sweet Melissa.
I would again like to lastly thank our very first guest and wonderful, beautiful soul, Miss Reverend Colleen Lemma. And everybody, please like, share, and subscribe. Click on the links down below. And remember this, reverence for self and others. Okay?
Reverence for self and others.
Yes.
Very good.
Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Namaste.
Mwah.